In this video, we'll be graphing a couple of exponential functions. First, we have g of x equals 1/3 times e to the negative x. We're going to use transformations of graphs. So let's look at the root function. We have f of x equals e to the x. And that is graphed, a rough sketch here, that is graphed like this, where it crosses the y-axis at the point 0, 1. Now, what happens here? G of x. Well, we have 1/3 times e to the negative x. The first thing we want to look at is right here. We have the negative right on the x, as opposed to over here we have the negative times the whole function, right? But here we have the, for g of x, we have negative right next to the x. So what that does is it turns this graph over from left to right, or the mathy way to say that is reflected about the x-axis. So that would make it go like this. This is just e to the negative x. Okay, now we also have the 1/3, so I'm going to erase what I have in purple there, but just to show, this is e to the negative x. Oops, e to the negative x right there. Okay, let me erase that. And now let's deal with this 1/3 business. Well, this 1/3 contracts the graph. So it contracts the graph, meaning it kind of squishes it down from top to bottom. So instead of that nice slope that we saw in purple, we are going to have, in the end, something pushed down like this, where it crosses the y-axis at 0, 1/3. Right? It's 1/3 of whatever you thought it would be. Okay, of course, you could always plot points and find this as well. Plug in points for x and plot this. Let's go over to h of x. H of x has just this base e to the x, right? That blue graph. But then it's multiplied by 3. That's going to stretch it out vertically. It's going to pull it up from the bottom to the top and make it go up faster. We also have a negative, so actually it's going to make it go down faster because the negative flips it, it flips it over across the y-axis. So what we mean by reflecting about the y-axis is that it would look like this. Now I'm going to erase that in a little bit. That's just negative e to the x. So it's just flipped the blue graph over. But the reason I'm going to erase it is because we also have the 3 to contend with. So it's going to stretch this out a little bit farther from top to bottom. So let's erase that and deal with the 3 now. So we're going to stretch this out a little bit. There. A rough sketch, of course, but this y-intercept now is at 0, -3. And you could, of course, plug in 0 for x and see that that is true. So that's just a rough sketch of graphing these exponential functions using some transformations.